You know, one of the great things in baseball that I think gets overlooked is the switch hitter. It's not that we don't appreciate the switch hitter, it's just hard to fathom a player being able to hit from both sides of the plate, considering one is already hard enough. You know another great hitter that gets overlooked? The only other switch hitter besides Mickey Mantle to have multiple 40 home run seasons. Yes. Lance Berkman. Lance Berkman started his career in the steroid era, and many times had players like Barry Bonds and other all-time greats like Albert Pujols right in front of him. Okay, Lance Berkman is easily considered a top 5 to 10 switch hitter of all time, and you could thank his dad for that push. When his dad signed him up for Little League, he was persistent that Lance learned how to hit from both sides.
Brandon, get on the damn bag! His early sketch work is really appealing.
Hey, Brandon, maybe you should listen to your dad and stay close to first base, partner.
His dad hung a tire from a tree in the backyard, instructing his son to take 50 swings a day, both righty and lefty. And these roles that his dad plays remained until Lance entered high school. Lance hit .330 with 4 home runs in 27 games his junior year, and .539 with 8 home runs and 30 RBIs in 28 games his senior year. But Lance Berkman didn't get the attention that you would expect with those numbers. According to Berkman's high school coach, Lance was sort of chubby and he didn't look like a great athlete, but the way Lance was able to naturally hit enticed Rice coach Wayne Graham to offer him a partial scholarship. Lance slumped at first and seemed to lose confidence, going into a 0-17 stretch, until his coach told Lance that if he's hitting 100, he's still in the lineup, because he can flat out hit, and this sparked Lance to go 17 for his next 21 at-bats. Lance mostly played first base most of his life, and ended up getting playing time in the outfield. Let's listen to some of his great plays in the outfield.
He hits a real high slicing fly ball. I thought it was going into the left center field gap, so I turned to left center. The wind caught it, pushed it to the line. I realized, oh man, I got to make an adjustment, so I kind of ran a little circle. So I dive and I go sliding into the corner, and I missed the ball by probably a foot, 6 inches, something like that. The foul pole was actually in play, so it was just a pole on the line, and I'd gone sliding into that pole. Thought I broke my leg because my leg went numb. I hit it full speed, like running pretty hard. The ball, I couldn't find it because there was a lot of debris that had piled up in the corner because the wind had pushed it. I mean, there was napkins, there was like a Big Mac container. I finally locate the ball, and it's sitting on top of a plastic grocery bag that had blown into the corner, and that's why I couldn't see it, because it was, balls white, bags white. So I go to grab the ball, and when I did, I grabbed part of the bag with the ball. So now it's like blowing like a streamer in front of my face, and I knew I couldn't throw them both. So I shake the ball and the bag comes loose, and I kid you not, I go to throw it and the bag blew around my head and came right in front of me. And when I let the ball go, it hits the bag, goes right in it, and the ball goes like 10 feet. The guy gets an inside the park home run. My coach, who, he would, if you did something wrong, he was made sure to let you know about it. So he comes running down the line. I thought he was coming out there to check on me. At this point, I've sort of extracted myself from the fence. I figured out I don't have a broken leg. I just, hit it really hard. And so I'm trying to wave him off like I'm okay. And he says, "I'm not out here to check on you. You're the worst outfielder I've seen in my entire life."
Lance Berkman ended up having a great 3 seasons at Rice, where he thanked his coach a ton for helping him become stronger mentally. In his junior year, he blasted 41 home runs with 134 RBIs, which helped his team to the first ever College World Series, and this helped him get drafted 16th overall by his hometown team, the Houston Astros, in the first round of the 1997 draft. Even though Lance Berkman was a natural first baseman, the Astros already had a Hall of Famer at first base with Jeff Bagwell. Lance didn't spend that much time in the minors, as he won MVP of the AAA World Series, and his bat got him called up as soon as July 16, 1999. He had his first breakout game about 9 games later, as he went 3 for 4 with 2 home runs against the Padres. He would get called back down to the minors after 34 games to work on his defense, but after 31 games into the 2000 season, Lance was brought back up and put up numbers right away and cemented his role in the starting lineup. In a season that was washed away by the bad pitching, Lance Berkman belted 21 home runs and 67 RBIs, with a 130 OPS plus in 114 games, only 90 of which he started. But however, the Killer Bees in Houston was born. He ended up also getting a vote for Rookie of the Year, the winner being the Atlanta Braves' Rafael Furcal. At age 25, Lance Berkman absolutely broke out in the 2001 season. In May and June, he belted 8 home runs in each month, with 27 and 20 RBI to add along. By the All-Star break, he had 25 home runs and 79 RBIs, with a 365, 466, and 714 slash line. line, getting his first All-Star appearance. He slowed down a little in the second half, hitting 9 home runs but still knocking in 47 runs in 72 games, and ended the season with an MLB best 55 doubles with 34 home runs and 126 RBIs, becoming the first switch hitter with 50 doubles and 30 home runs in a season. His .331 batting average, .430 on-base percentage, and .620 slugging percentage put him in the top 6 of all 3 categories. A .430 on-base percentage would have for sure put him as number 1 in 2022 for perspective, but Lance Berkman still ended up in 5th place in MVP. I mean, what did a winner do to really make him win? Oh, right. The 2001 Astros won the NL Central. Yes, the NL Central. However, for Lance Berkman and the Astros, it was a short ride as Lance slumped in October, batting 2 for 12 as the Astros were swept by the Braves. However, in Lance Berkman's first full season, he put up numbers just behind prime Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Luis Gonzalez, and rookie sensation Albert Pujols. On January of 2002, the Astros signed Lance to a 3-year contract worth $10.5 million, even though he wasn't eligible for arbitration. The GM and owner were not only impressed by his abilities, but also impressed by his contributions to their community. Lance Berkman started the 2002 season a little different, however. He hit only .255 but only hit 10 home runs and knocked in 26 runs in the first 25 games. He also moved over to center field and even made this sick play.
And the pitch on the way to Makoviak sends a high fly ball center. Berkman back up on the terrace. And did he hang on? I believe he did. He did.
Man, I missed that hill. But again, in the first half, Lance Berkman proved to be a big-time bat, as he had 29 home runs and 81 RBIs by the All-Star break. His batting average did drop to .294 as a whole, which in 2023, give me that. But his on-base percentage was still over 200. He again was named an All-Star and probably could have started if the outfield wasn't Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, and prime Vladimir Guerrero. He also participated in his first home run derby, but only hit 1 home run and didn't make it past the first round. He was saving it for the second half, as he would add 13 home runs and 47 RBIs to give him 42 home runs, which was 3rd in the National League, and a league-leading 120 RBIs and an OPS plus of 150. Lance finished 3rd in MVP, again behind Barry Bonds and Albert Pujols. Let me say that again, behind Barry Bonds and Albert Pujols in 2002, his second full season. I'm only emphasizing this because I really don't think Lance Berkman is talked about as much as he should. In his first 3 combined seasons, he hit 101 home runs and knocked in 336 RBIs, with an OPS plus of 145. Just nasty. And this is in a steroid era too. The Astros in 2003 were looking to make the postseason, as they added Jeff Kent to their stacked lineup. However, Lance didn't have the best 2003 for his standards. He started very slow, as he only hit 2 bombs with a .208 batting average. Then, on June 1st, there was a pitching change in the 7th inning, follow the channel if you haven't by the way. In Wrigley Field, fans waved Twinkies at Lance Berkman, who responded by asking the fans to throw the Twinkie in his glove, and when 2 came at him, he ate one and then put the other one in his back pocket. The next inning, he had a 2-run home run and the crowd went crazy chanting Twinkie power when he came back on the field in the 9th. Around this time, Dan Patrick interviewed Lance and asked him if he had a celebrity lookalike, and he said that someone once said he looked like Fat Elvis, and this nickname got blown out of proportion.
1 for 2, make that 2 for 3, top 2, fly me to the moon. Berkman 6th, the Astros hit 3 solos in this game. In the 6th, more from the self-proclaimed Fat Elvis. Ain't nothing but a pound dog. Hard hit to left, double off Brian Meadows. Berkman's 6th 2-bagger.
By the All-Star break, the Astros were atop with the NL Central, but only sent Billy Wagner to the All-Star game. In the second half, Lance Berkman stated, "This is the biggest struggle I've had in terms of driving in runs. I'm not hitting as many home runs this year, and even though I'm swinging the bat good, especially in the second half, for whatever reason, I just can't drive in runs." It didn't help when Dave Roberts got him back on that hill.
Berkman with a drive to center field. Roberts way back up on Taos Hill at the wall. What a catch by Roberts.
The Astros held a 1.5 division lead on September 19 before losing 6 of the next 9 games to miss the playoffs. However, Lance hit .357 with an OPS of 1.149. He ended the season with 25 bombs and 93 RBIs along with 6 triples. Not so bad for that nickname, huh? And still had a .412 OBP and 138 OPS plus. Career highs for most, but we all know how good Lance Berkman could be. 2004 was another slow start as he was hitless in the first 9 at-bats. Astros. However, until the end of May, he was by far the hottest hitter, even winning National League Player of the Month with 24 RBIs and a .785 slugging percentage. Lance Berkman made his third All-Star appearance and also entered the Home Run Derby in front of his home crowd in Houston, where he hit the longest home run of the tournament at 497 feet, before losing to the winner Miguel Tejada. However, for the Astros, on August 26, they were 64-63 and 7 games behind the wild card, when helps from Lance and Carlos Beltran led them to a 28-7 record, beating the Giants out by a game to take the wild card spot. In 160 games, Lance finished 7th in MVP voting with 30 home runs and knocking in 106 RBIs, also boosting his average to 316 and his OBP to 450, which was somehow third to Barry Bonds' 609. Like, for real, that dude was putting up video game numbers. Lance also walked 127 times, which was 105 less times than Barry Bonds. What was his man on? Oh, alright. The Astros would be taking on the Braves as Lance Berkman played very well, hitting 409 with a bomb and 3 RBIs, as the Astros won Game 5 12-3. The Astros would be taking on the Cardinals in the NLCS, and the Astros led 3 games to 2 after Jeff Kent's walk-off bomb to break the scoreless game. Lance already had 3 bombs that series so far. However, the Astros were going to St. Louis to try and close it out.
During the regular season. And we are going to Game 7 in the National League Championship Series. Tonight, which he does. Is it gone? Yes. On the ground, a second. And for the first...
Okay, even though the Astros lost, Lance still did pretty good. He batted .348 with 4 bombs and 12 RBIs. Sadly for Lance, on October 28, 2004, he tore a ligament in his right knee while playing flag football, trying to stay in shape, which needed surgery so they can reconstruct his ACL, and his doctors gave him 5 to 6 months until he could return to baseball. However, things look better for Lance, as he signed a 6-year deal worth $14.5 million per season, which he pledged $100,000 each season to the Astros and Action Foundation. Lance Berkman returned from his knee injury on May 6 and played some time back at first, with Bagwell being hurt as well. Lance started shaky, and the Astros were 15-30 and last in the division and the second worst team in baseball. However, Lance and the Astros got hot in June and July, as Lance had 40 RBIs and 11 home runs in 2 months. The Astros finished on a 13-5 run and beat out the Phillies again by 1 game. During September, Lance hit 11 bombs and drove in 27 runs as well. In 132 games, Lance hit 24 bombs and had 82 RBIs and still had a 143 OPS plus, which wasn't a great season for Lance, but considering his injuries and hot performances, it will slide. The Astros were again taking on the Braves and were up 3 games to 2, when in Game 6 they were down 6-1 in the bottom of the 8th, when it was bases loaded for the man of the hour.
It changes. Swing and a drive, left field. High, Letterman's turns, it's gone! Grand slam, Berkman!
The Astros were still down by 1 until October baseball was at its finest.
Maybe facing Bobby Cox there. There's a swing and a high fly ball left center field. Andrew Jones giving chase on the track. Leaps up, can't get it. It ricochets back into center. Here comes Austin. Now that ball is going to be called a home run. It's over the walls. It is gone. Ruled a home run and the game is tied. That got over the yellow line and the game is tied at 6.
The fans didn't know it, but they were in a 2-for-1, as the game went a whole 9 extra innings longer, becoming the longest game in MLB playoff history, until the bottom of the 18th inning when Chris Burke finally did this.
Swing and a drive, left field, way back, this one is gone! The Astros win it!
The Astros were going to be taking on the Cardinals and were out for revenge. After losing Game 1, the Astros would win the next 3 games and have a chance to close it out at home. The Astros were down 2-1 in the bottom of the 7th when Craig Biggio reached on an error and then reached the 3rd on a hit and run to bring up Lance Berkman to the plate. Lance put on his cape and did this.
Left field, it might be, it is gone!
With 3 more outs, the Astros were going to the World Series, and boom, there's one with a strikeout. Boom, easy, 2 away. Alright, now all they need is 1 more. Alright, well, that's okay. They just need 1 more out. Oh. Alright, well, that's okay. They just need 1 more.
In the air, left field, and Pujols has given St. Louis the lead.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing.
Alright. Now I know we've all seen this, and I don't want to rag on Bradledge more, but he kind of ruined Lance's moment. However, the Astros won the next game and was taking on the White Sox in the World Series. I'm just gonna save the suspense, because the Astros were swept in 4 games. However, every game was very close. Lance had a 2-out, 2-run double in Game 1 to tie the game. However, the White Sox sealed it with an RBI triple in the 8th inning, and took that game by 2 runs. In Game 2, the game tied in the 5th inning, Lance again had a 2-out, 2-run double. Unfortunately for Lance, the White Sox just had the magic in this game as well. In Game 3, Lance had another RBI as he was walked 2 times in extra innings as the Astros lost in the 14th inning. Game 4, Lance was walked 3 times as the White Sox scored in the 8th to sweep the Astros. Lance had a .385 average with 6 RBIs in that series, the most out of any Astro hitter that series, as the rest of the team only hit .185. On January 23, 2006, Lance had surgery on the right knee to remove scar tissue that had built up after his operation in 2004. This surgery seemed to help Lance as he had a monster season as the Astros offense was retooling its system. Lance also hit his 200th career home run on June 21st, becoming the fastest Astro in games played to reach 200 at the age of 30. Lance would hit his career high in home runs with 45 and break the Astros record for most RBIs in a season with 136. He also had a .315 batting average and a .420 on-base percentage with a .163 OPS plus. He was again named to the All-Star team and finished 3rd in MVP voting, also being 5th in WAR. Again, this was Ryan Howard's turn at a prime year with 58 home runs and 149 RBI season of his own. This year, Lance also kind of gave himself a new nickname, the Big Puma, because in his words, he's sleek, agile, and a graceful athlete. 2007, however, was an up and down year for the Big Puma. He followed up his great year with his lowest batting average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and OPS since his rookie year. However, he did have a hot August and September with 17 home runs and 36 RBIs in the 2 months. He finished the season with a .278 batting average, which is only his 2nd season at that point with an average below .290, 34 home runs, which was still 5th in the league, and still drove in 102 runs, with a 130 OPS plus. However, Lance Berkman also had career highs in strikeout, as the Astros finished 4th in the NL Central, behind some bad pitching aside Roy Oswalt. Since 2002, pure Lance Berkman was having better numbers in even number years, and he did the same thing that started the 2008 season. Lance won 2 Players of the Week, one in which he went 29 for 32 with 6 bombs, and also won the Player of the Month in May, where he hit .471. However, starting on July 1st, Lance went 33 games and 111 at-bats without a home run. However, by the All-Star break, he was in the NL's top 4 in batting average, with 22 home runs and on pace with a 130 plus RBI season. After picking it up in August, hitting .301 with 5 bombs in 30 games, Lance started to slump again in September, which included 2 streaks, one being over 17 and the other being over 22. His dominant start still earned him his 5th All-Star selection, as he also finished 5th in MVP voting and 5th in WAR with a 6.9, which was his career high. He led the league again in doubles with 46, and this season he stole 18 bags, which was his first time stealing over 10, and he also brought back his slash line to a more Lance Berkman type season. He also hit 29 bombs and knocked in 106 runs and scored 114 times himself, which was very important to him. He stated, "The name of the game for a guy like me is scoring runs and driving guys in. Those are 2 stats that are very important for me personally. That's really my job." In February 2009, Alex Rodriguez was shocked the sports world.
I was young, I was stupid, I was naive.
This is SportsCenter.
In an exclusive interview with ESPN, Alex Rodriguez answers allegations he tested positive for steroids.
You were asked if you would ever use steroids, human growth hormone, or other performance-enhancing substances, and you said no. In your mind, that wasn't a lie?
A day in baseball history that will long be remembered. Peter Gammons, one-on-one with Alex Rodriguez in search of the truth.
It is my fault. I'm responsible for this.
Lance Berkman was frustrated that the scandal made all players look bad, and how unfair it was for his name to be brought up in articles about steroids, and how he never was close to it at all. Later in that spring, Lance was diagnosed with tendonitis in his left bicep. This injury seemed to affect him early on. Batting average was 187 as of May 12th. Lance started to have a better June and July, and even got his 300th career home run on June 13, 2009 against John Garland. However, this season, injuries prevented him to getting into his groove, and he again in an odd number year had an off season, again in Lance's standards. He still hit 25 bombs and knocked in 80 runs, but this is just the standards we have on this guy, as he again lowered his batting average in the season to 274. Meanwhile, his OBP was just under 400 at 399. He still had an OPS plus of 140. However, the Astros again had another bad season and finished 5th in the NL Central. Lance Berkman entered the 2010 season on the final year of his contract, and after missing the first 12 games due to his left knee, he started the season pretty rough again, hitting 175 as of May 8th. As the Astros were having another subpar season, and they also haven't made the playoffs since 2005, Berkman showed that he wanted to move to a contender, since at this point, he was 34 in the season. He said, "This organization has been great to me. I love the Houston Astros. No matter what happens, I'm always going to be an Astro at heart. But as you get older, you definitely start to look at being on a losing team and say, how many sub 500 seasons do you want to play?" Well, on July 31st, as Lance Berkman had the worst year of his career to that point, in which he only had 1 month above a 250 batting average, and the Astros going nowhere that season, he was traded to the New York Yankees for Mark Melancon and Jimmy Paredes to mostly be a designated hitter and a backup first base. Lance was excited for this new journey and was eager to be on a team with big expectations. However, he started slow with the Yankees too, hitting only 200 with 0 home runs. In September, his average did improve to 299. His power was nowhere to be found as he only hit 1 home run in a month. 2010, Lance Berkman finished the season with career lows in every category. He hit 14 home runs and knocked in 58 runs, with a 248 batting average and an OPS plus of 112 in 122 games played. The Yankees swept the Twins, however Lance only played in 1 game. However, he did have a double and a home run with 2 RBIs. However, he did become a bigger part in the lineup when Mark Teixeira went down and Lance played first base the rest of the postseason. The 4 games he played, he only had 3 hits and 2 RBIs, as the Yankees lost to the Rangers in 6 games, and that concluded Lance's short stint with the Bronx. Lance hoped to return to the Astros in 2011, but the team told him that they weren't interested. So on December 4th, Lance agreed to an $8 million contract for 1 year with the St. Louis Cardinals. They even came out with this funny commercial about the retired numbers with the Cardinals.
So Lance, have you thought about what jersey number you're going to pick this year?
I think I'll just stick with my old number 17.
Actually, that was Dizzy Dean's.
What about 14?
Kenny Boyer.
20?
Lou Brock.
24.
Whitey.
45?
Gibby.
What about 85?
Gussie.
In 2011, Lance Berkman went vintage mode and started the first month with a 393 batting average with 8 home runs and 22 RBIs. On July 5th, he also hit his 350th career home run, and this ball was his second furthest home run in Busch Stadium at the time. He again made an All-Star team as he had 24 bombs and 63 RBIs by the All-Star break. On September 5th, the Cardinals were 74 and 67 and were 8 games and a half back from the wildcard spot and never looked back. In the next 21 games, in which Lance hit 413, the Cardinals went 16-5 and won the wildcard spot by 1 game over the Braves. Lance was named the NL Comeback Player of the Year, and he was also 7th in MVP voting, his 6th and final time finishing top 10 in MVP voting. And this season, he finished with 31 bombs and 94 RBIs, along with a 301 batting average, his 5th time hitting over 300, and a 412 on-base percentage, with his highest OBP plus of 164. Lance Berkman wasn't too much a factor in the first 2 series, besides a 3-run home run in the first inning of the first game off NL Cy Young Award winner Roy Halladay. However, the Cardinals beat the Phillies and Brewers to advance to the World Series, and Lance got his first trip back since 2005. The Cardinals were taking on the Rangers, and in Game 1, they faced TJ Wilson, who had a dominant season for the Rangers himself. In the bottom of the 4th, Lance Berkman came up with a big 2-run single to get the first runs of the series. The Cardinals would get a run off a 2-out single in the 6th, and the Cardinals held on to win Game 1. Lance would hit .389 in the first 5 games. However, the Cardinals were 1 game from elimination. Game 6 of the World Series will forever go down as one of the greatest games in the history of baseball, and Lance was in the middle of that. In the bottom of the first inning, Lance Berkman hit a 2-run home run to give the Cardinals an early 2-1 lead. The Rangers again took the lead, but Lance reached on the air and scored on a Yachty groundout to tie the game again. In the 6th, the Cardinals were down by a run again. Lance reached on the infield single and again scored a tying run. The Rangers took a 7-5 lead coming into the 9th inning and would be 3 outs away from getting their first World Series. After getting the first hitter to strike out, Albert Pujols clubbed a double to give the Cardinals some life. Lance Berkman took a 4-pitch walk. However, the next hitter, Alan Craig, struck out, leading to Mr. David Freese given an opportunity to be the hero. And the hero he was.
The 1-1. Strike 2.
And now the Rangers are one strike away. Into right, well hit. Back at the wall. It's off the wall. 1 run scores. Here comes Berkman. Freeze has tied it. 7-7.
However, in the top of the 10th, the Rangers took a 9-7 lead on a 2-run bomb from Josh Hamilton. And once again, the Rangers were 3 outs away from...
Descalso is on to start the inning. 0-1. Little fly ball into left. That ball is going to drop for a hit. This one is in the air. It gets over the head of Beltre and left side. Coming to the plate, Descalso. Out at first is Terrio. It's a 9-8 game with Pujols coming up.
After needing one more out, they decided to walk Albert Pujols to get to Lance Berkman, who was one of the hottest hitters in that series. Lance Berkman was 1 strike away from sending the home crowd home in disappointment, but then he did this.
In the air to right center. This game is tied. Going to third is Pujols, and it's 9-9.
Ron Washington's face says it all, as these Cardinals were giving the Rangers nightmares. And of course, we all know this famous moment in time.
Freeze hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night.
For the game, David Freese was the big star, and rightfully so. However, Lance went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 4 runs scored, in probably the biggest game of his life. The next day, the Cardinals won Game 7, as Lance went 1 for 3 and scored 2 times, as Lance won his first and only World Series championship. In the 7 games, Lance hit .423 with 5 RBIs and scored 9 times. The 2012 season was really the coming of the end for Lance, as he was held to only 32 games, limited by 2 knee surgeries. He ended up signing with the Texas Rangers, to be a DH for 1 year worth $10 million. However, Lance was only able to play in 73 games. He had 6 home runs and had 34 RBIs in his 256 at-bats, and by the end of the season, the Rangers declined his option, making him a free agent. On January 28, 2014, he decided to retire from baseball, and Lance, along with Roy Oswalt, signed a 1-day contract to retire with the Astros. Aw, how sweet. Alright, now the fun part for my stat heads. Let's crunch some numbers to check out Lance's career. First, I want to go over his prime years. From 2001 to 2008, Lance had 263 home runs, which was 10th in that time. He was 5th in RBIs, 5th in OBP, tied with 6th in OPS Plus with Chipper Jones and Giambi, 3rd in runs created with 1,065, and tied with 7th in WAR with Todd Helton. Also in the categories, 3 names that kept popping up were Bonds, Manny, and A-Rod. And really, you could say Big Papi too, even though no one really wants to talk about that. Lance would finish his career with 1,905 hits and 366 home runs, which was just more than guys like Luis Gonzalez, Jose Bautista, and Torrey Hunter, and had 1,234 RBIs. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no way. Okay, which was just more than guys like Matt Holliday and Adrian Gonzalez. He also had 100 RBIs or more in 6 of his seasons. Lance also finished his career with a 406 on-base percentage, which is top 50th all-time at the time of this recording, and his on-base plus slugging is 30th all-time with a 943 above guys like Willie Mays, A-Rod, and Hank Aaron, although they all played 20-plus seasons compared to Lance's 15 seasons. His career adjusted OPS Plus was a 144, which again put him around the top 50 board. Lance was a 6-time All-Star as well, but even though Lance Berkman was a switch hitter, he hit much better as a left-handed hitter, as he hit 304 on that side compared to 260 on his right side. He played double the games on his left side, but still had 316 home runs on that side compared to 50 on his right. Lance Berkman was also a very clutch hitter, as he had 292 with runners in scoring position with 2 outs. The team he probably liked to face the most was the Cardinals, as he hit 39 bombs and knocked in 118 runs against them in 154 games with a .313 batting average. In 2019, Lance only got 1.2% on the Hall of Fame ballot, which automatically took him off future ballots. However, I believe there's a real argument in there that Lance Berkman was a Hall of Fame player. The main argument that goes against him was that he wasn't great defensively, and more in the outfield than at first. However, Lance's bat should always be remembered. If you guys want to see more videos like this, subscribe and hit the like button. All the usual YouTube things that help show us that you enjoy the content. And also drop your favorite underrated player. Maybe you'll see him in a video later. Blues out. Peace.